Hello, everyone. I hope you are energized. This is, an amazing opportunity for me to show a bit what we've done. And it's been a journey to be able to make this video. Not because we were partying every day, but it has been a real innovation journey for Mirakl. And so today I want to talk to you about how we got there. How did we, in the past 18 months, announce not 4, but actually 5 new products? And you know how we did this? Well, it's a little bit in the answer, It's about thinking startup, innovation. When you think about startup, you think about being nimble, you think about flexible, you think about being capable of building fast, but fail fast as well. So you think about going fast to market. But as your company grows and experiences very rapid pace of growing, this might become even more challenging, although it is critical to your business. So for us, this is really an historic moment, because for the most part of the company, we've been focusing on one single flagship product. We are focusing on our marketplace platform. And then we venture into new areas like fintech, adtech, and we added much more products, standalone products that our customers could benefit to grow their business and to have even more value. So really today, this is the story of how Mirakl transitioned from a single product company to a multi-product portfolio. So how did we do that? And why is it interesting for you? Maybe let's start there. Maybe, like me, 2 years ago, you are starting a new job today. Maybe you are facing a lot of constraints, resource constraints, time constraints. You have to deliver so many new products in such a short period of time. Maybe you are just a PM trying to do your job and trying to prioritize relentlessly. And so maybe sometimes you may ask yourself, did I take an impossible mission? Am I getting myself into something that I can't do? And you know what? I actually asked myself these questions 2 years ago. And spoiler alert, the answer is no. But if I remember back 2 years back, when I started as the first CPO at Mirakl, taking over from the CEO who basically, was the head of product for most of the part of the company, I remember being 2 weeks in the company and being called into his office. And he said to me, Isabelle, next week, we will start to raise our next round of funding. So of course, you as the CPO, you will be pitching the product to the potential investors. Sure, 2 weeks in, I'm perfectly an expert. And then he continues, and of course, you will be preparing the slides to explain what is our vision and then what is our strategy for the next 5 years to those potential investors. So then I thought to myself, oh crap, this is getting real, guys. And so all this oh crap moment, this is what we want to share with you today. Of course, sharing all the challenges, all the things that we went through, all the decision-making process that we made to get to this point where we could innovate for our customers. But it's also a great opportunity for me today to showcase and be thankful to my team who worked really hard and showed a lot of dedication for the past 18 months to release what we have today. And some of them are in the room, so if you are nice enough to clap for them, I'd love that. And for those not here, they will watch the video. I'll make them. So before we get into the how, let me make sure you know what we do at Mirakl, and especially what Marketplace is. So I will try to make it simple. We are the world leader of marketplace SaaS technology for B2B and B2C organizations. Okay, I think I lost half of you right there. I'll try to make it even more simple. So think about this. I'm sure at some point you have considered to buy a new smartphone. Maybe you have some of your favorite brands, Apple, Samsung, Google. And so you might go to back market, or you might go to the brand store, or you might go to a retailer. You know, if you're in North America, you might go to Best Buy. If you go to Germany, maybe you buy from Mediamarkt, in France from Carrefour, and you're looking for those products. But have you ever wondered how do they achieve to have so many products on their website? How can they, put everything in a warehouse? Well, they don't. This is where Mirakl comes in. We offer the technology and the expertise to those companies to basically run their marketplace business. And so if you think about marketplace, think of this as the virtual shopping mall that you would find online. So you bring a lot of different sellers that have different products, and you allow them to come on your platform, Best Buy e-commerce website, to sell their product or services. So this is Marketplace. And we are really excited to be one of their most trustworthy partners to run these new business models for them. So now that I did my 2-minute commercial break, let me take you back in time. Remember May 2021? You know, something happened. COVID crisis was changing in many ways the world. A lot of people were going through a strong hardship, but one industry saw a tremendous growth across the world: the e-commerce industry. Suddenly, everyone had to buy online. There were no other options. And so you can see on this graph how this translated for Mirakl and for Mirakl customers. From 2019 up to 2020 and beyond, there was a strong acceleration of the volume of business that was transiting through our platforms. In 2022, we are talking about $6 billion that went through the different platforms from our customers. Just for you to understand, in 1 year, there were as much volume of business than in the previous 5 years for the company. And that's maintaining a 40% growth consistently over the years. And during that time, while gaining more customers, growing internationally, we were lucky enough to be able to raise a lot of funds to invest into our business, but above all, to invest into our people. And so our staff went from being 300 people in 2020 into 750 people. So in 2020, we could barely fill a third of this room. And today, if I was to bring all of Mirakl employees, we would be quite full here. But, you know, as those changes happen, we saw also something else. We saw a profound shift into the consumer behavior. We saw them, even more than before, want everything, anytime and anywhere. And a little bit like the movie, it's a little bit scary. But what does it mean for us as a SaaS solution provider? It meant that we had to make sure that our customers could fulfill the needs of their customers. The right product, the right time, the right place, increase their conversions, and offer a very personalized experience. And so, in this context, I arrived in the company and I had 3 clear missions. Of course, deliver the company objectives, identify new revenue streams. Why? Because sustaining those company objectives meant for us growing internationally, addressing new customer segments, and then adding more services to our customers so they can grow their own business. And for that, you need to scale the team. And if we translate that again into numbers, it meant 40% growth that needs to be sustained, 5 new products that help us go international, gain more customers, and meaning doubling the team quickly. So, easy missions, of course, but let's make it even more difficult. Now there is time constraint. COVID-19, it created a momentum, but as any momentum, it can go fast, very, very fast. So it was really a now or never moment for Mirakl, and the question for us was simple. How do we make all of this happen very fast? And for me, again, as a CPO, and probably for some of my PM, it really felt like we were building the plane while we were flying it. And hopefully, we would land this successfully and not end in a disastrous crash. So, how do we do this? It lays in one simple concept: startup in a scale-up. For us today, it's really about innovation, right? But what does it mean, really? If I were to ask you today, what do you think innovation is? Maybe you have some of those ideas in mind. Maybe you see some of those ideas, concept on the screen. But for me today, I really want to focus on some of them. And honestly, I'm sure you already know them. Customer obsession. Of course, innovation is coming from a deep and profound understanding of what your customer needs. Always day one, what does it mean? It's really keeping this day one, this startup mindset, thinking that every day it's like the first day in your company. Challenge yourself, avoid complacency, and continue to progress and break through some of the boundaries. Of course, innovation is also about thinking outside of the box, taking unconventional route, breaking rules, going outside of the frame. So this is about innovation. But innovation can happen if there is no teamwork, if there is no collaboration. Melissa mentioned this morning. It's not just about the product and technology team. It's the entire organization that needs to be involved into this. And then last, it's a mindset. Every employee should be an entrepreneur in your company. Everyone should be contributing into creating. Of course, think about this. Is it easier for you on your own to think about innovation, or if we bring all the talents, all the brains together to try to break through ideas and things about innovation? So for me today, it's really about sharing real-life examples to show you how we think about innovation and hopefully tackling some of those misconceptions that you might have behind that. And I'm telling you right away, I'm not going to share with you framework and all of that. Some people here have done that really in a great way. You have an amazing lineup of speakers that have already and will continue to share those framework and processes. What I want to give you is our real-life example. And so let's start with the first myth. Innovation is uniquely driven by research and development. So yes, of course, product, technology, everyone is a big driver into innovation, but of course not the only one. So how can you bring everyone, every employee, to be part of the innovation process? So let me start with one example, Google. So I'm sure everyone knows Google, and everyone probably has heard somehow about the 20% time policy. If you haven't, this is how you make, in such a big companies, this entrepreneurial mindset, this innovation mindset. The idea is that the senior leadership at Google will encourage every employee from all departments to dedicate 20% of their time on new ideas, new projects, things that will push the boundaries of the company. And if you think about this, this is a great engagement, right, tactic for employees, but it also empower them to go beyond their immediate teams, to try to work with other teams. And so this cross-pollination of ideas, of ways of thinking, having fresh eyes from, maybe the finance department will look into what you do. This is really exciting because you will have more brains to put in power. So now let me give you a different example. At Mirakl. First, let me introduce you to two guys. This is Philippe and Adrien. This is our co-founders at Mirakl, co-CEOs. And you know what? For most part of the companies, what they were trying to do is to convince large corporations to adopt our solutions, so to run their marketplace business. And so for most of that time, what they did was very successful. They convinced many, many large customers to embark with us on this journey. But they had some reluctance and pushback from some of those companies. Why? Because some of them came back and say, well, your marketplace thing is great, but it really sounds like what we already do. Dropship. So what is dropship or dropshipping? For those who don't, let's go back to this mobile phone example, right? So if you remember, if you buy a mobile phone on a marketplace, you go to Best Buy website, you buy from Phone Shop, which is a third-party sellers. This is marketplace. Now, if you go to Best Buy, you buy the same phone from Best Buy directly, but now you are shipped by the phone shop. You don't know about them, but you receive the product anyway. Or you might receive it from the manufacturer. This is the dropship. So yes, there are similarities in the business model. So what's different? The difference is, first, if you think about dropship, it's one product, one vendor. Meaning, if this product is going out of stock, then you don't have anything else to sell. But in marketplace, you have one product, multiple sellers. So if one get out of stock, you can still have your product. So that's one strength. But the other one was all the technology was built for dropship, were a legacy system that was 20, 30 years old. So for most of a decade, Philippe and Adrien told everyone, marketplace is the future. Dropship is the past. You should move on. And then you know what? In 2021, we built our dropship solution. Okay, so what happened? What happened is that we finally understood something. We understood that some of our customers was buying our solution not to run marketplace, but they were using our solution to run a dropship model. And although, of course, the solution was not done to do that, was not built to do that, they found ways to make it work. And what we realized is it was just there in front of our eyes, we didn't see it. We were answering customer needs that we didn't think we could. And although, it was not fully adapted, it meant that there were an opportunity here. And so we understood that by bringing some adjustment to our product, we were capable of launching an entirely new product to address new market, new use cases, and obviously new monetization opportunity for Mirakl. And you know what the good part of this is actually, it was not so much work from my team. It was what makes the success of our strategy of the product was really go-to-market strategy. It's the collaboration between sales, product marketing, customer success that makes the product really successful. Why? Because all of this team had first-hand feedback from prospects, from customers, and they could really explain to us how this product was really used. They help us to build the messaging, the proposition, the value proposition, so that we can make sure we make the fullest potential of the product. And so, how did we make this happen? We basically implemented what we call the Product Ambassador Program. The Product Ambassador Program is very critical when you get to 800, 1,000 employees. Not everyone can be in every meeting from all the product. So what we did, we volunteered people to participate into this Product Ambassador Program. We created a community of evangelists, of people who knew what we were building, how we were doing product at Mirakl, and why we built what we built. And then they were going around and then evangelizing for us. And that was great because then we had more and more product ambassadors in the company, and everyone better understands our product culture, how we did things. We did not stop there, of course, because as you grow, you hire fast, you need to make sure it's easy to onboard new people. And so we documented a lot of that. We had our own Mirakl playbook. And it's not Shopify playbook or whatever playbook, it's really a playbook that is adapted to how we work, what is important for us in the company, and it makes it so easier for new hires to come in and learn about this. But it also helped to clarify the role and the responsibilities between those different departments into the organization. So we use a model that everyone probably knows is the RACI. Who is responsible for what? Who is accountable for what? Who needs to be consulted? Who needs to be informed? And eventually, what are the different deliverables or product artifacts that we need to use? You know, Melissa was talking about template and all of that. Yes, we have a few of them, so that we have all the same product memo, we have all the same product roadmap format, and it makes things much easier to read when you are not in a day-to-day in the business. So this example of dropship is a great reminder and humbling reminder that, of course, innovation is about customer needs and teamwork. Now, let's talk about the second myth or misconception. Innovation requires huge teams. So, is this really about the size? Is the size important? Of course, you would tell me, of course, if you have more people, you can do more things. Yes, of course. But it's not only about the size of the team, it's not the size of the budget. It's really about thinking pragmatically into problem solving. It's about thinking, how can you build those new products to market without necessarily going the traditional way, especially when you have strong constraints. So let's take our example, Mirakl ads. So what is this? About 15 months ago, we really wanted to launch ourselves into the retail media business, so sponsored advertising and e-commerce. So for those who don't know what this is basically when you go onto any website, the retailer, in this case, let's say it's Maison du Monde or any other furniture company, would rent out their premium space to sellers. And it's a great win-win situation because sellers get more visibility, the retailer can rent out premium places. Okay, great, everyone wins. Of course, this is something that our customers feel like there were opportunity for them to monetize their traffic and to create even more revenue for them. So when it comes to this solution, we saw an opportunity for Mirakl to go into, but there were already players on the market. And so, time was counting. If we wanted a share of that market, we needed to go fast. So when we decided to launch this product or to create this product, we asked ourselves a hard question. Should we build the product from scratch, or do we want to acquire a company? Listen, if we were to build this product, of course we could have put all of our resources into that. And honestly, it could have taken at least 3 years for us to get there. And even then, maybe the momentum would have passed, and we are not even sure we were able to be successful. So the acquisition route sounds like the best options for us. And so we scoured the market. We looked into hundreds of companies. And you know what? We couldn't find one that matched perfectly all of our requirements. So what can we do? Well, we decided to challenge ourselves and maybe think about this a little bit differently. Maybe we can think about what makes building a sponsored advertising product difficult and what is so foundational to the product that we can leverage from an acquisition and build on top. And this is where we changed a little bit how we thought about this. So instead of a build versus buy, it became a build and buy strategy. What it meant for us is to find a company that has all the foundation, all the building blocks that we could build our product on top. And so, April 2022, we acquired Target to Sell, a 30-people company that has spent the last decades building the best personalization system, all these algorithms that you want to have really well performing so that when you do advertising and you are searching for a couch, you're not showing sneakers. You want to make sure you're showing the right product. And so acquiring Target to Sell helped us really to accelerate our roadmap by a factor of 2. What it meant for us was that we had great foundations, and we had a 5 developers team just to build the rest. And so in a few months, we were capable to launch our first retail media product. And the best part of that is that, of course, the technology, but also the reputation of both companies. Our customers understood the value, they understood the potential of the solution, and we even had commitment from customers even before we released the product, even before they actually see a working product. And so this is also the strength of this strategy, is building on the reputation, building on quality of the product, and showing that we're not starting completely from scratch has added credibility to our offering. And so how was this happen? Remember I talked about the playbook earlier. Well, this playbook was really critical for us when we acquired this new company because we documented everything and we knew how we wanted to work. When we onboarded a 30-people company, it was easier, and the integration of an acquired company took us 4 months. So by standard, it's quite fast. So that's how it allowed us to launch our product much faster. So really, it's not about the size of the team. It's about the size of your ideas and how far you're willing to push yourself to go through unconventional route to make sure that you deliver on your objective, deliver on your business objectives. So now let's maybe talk about our third myth. Innovation is only for startups. And I know today we don't have only startups, or even not even scale-ups. We have very large companies that are onboarding product. But why do we think that? Because, of course, startups, well, they are fast, they are agile, they scale fast, it's small, so no bureaucracy, rapid decision-making, you can adapt quickly. And so, of course, startups are at the heart of innovation. And you know what else is at the heart of a startup? Is their founders and their first employees. They have this grit, this passion, this willingness and ownership of the product that make them want to disrupt the market, make them want to bring the best innovation to the market. And so how can you make this happen in a very large company, right? It's natural to think, well, if you are a larger company, you are more established, there is bureaucracy, it's hard. You are risk averse because you have so many customers, you have such a big volume of business going through your product or your business. So how can you risk all of that? So let's look at some example again about how we can debunk this misconception. You know this? It's Apple, right? I'm sure everyone knows Apple. And so this is the Macintosh computer. It revolutionized access to computing for the public. And so early 80s, Apple was focused on their flagship product, the Apple II line, very successful, huge machine, mainly for pros. And then there was a group of Microsoft pirates, 20 devs, that decided that they could do differently. And so they came together, a little bit with Steve Jobs' blessing, to try to rethink and disrupt entirely the core business of Apple. And so they faced a lot of internal conflicts. A lot of teams internally were against these ideas. A lot of skepticism even from the market. But they persisted and they brought groundbreaking innovation. The mouse and the graphic screen. Yes, those were groundbreaking innovation in the 80s. But you know what? With this entrepreneurial mindset that was allowed in the organization, this became, to quote someone, a real revolution. Now, let's talk about another companies. So it's not only about putting teams together, right? Maybe you can't do that. You can't necessarily carve out your resources and say, hey, you guys go there and do your stuff. Maybe it's about the culture and the values that you have into your company. At Amazon, they have one strong values, which is considering that everything should always be about day one. What is about day one? When you think about the startup again is, let's challenge ourselves. Let's make sure that we always think about what we do being the best way and not just complacent, because this is how things were done. And so Amazon, similarly, challenged themselves. For many years, at the beginning of the company, they sold themselves product. They have their retail business. And within this retail business that was really successful, they started to see some challenges. They could not always serve their customers. They had a supply chain issue. And so they embarked into the marketplace business as well to tackle for this. And similarly to what we heard before, internal teams at Amazon, I should know, I was there, all complained. Why are we launching a marketplace? Why do we have our own competition? Why are we cannibalizing our own business? And you know what? They persisted with this new product. And ultimately, marketplace business for Amazon today is more than 50% of their business. And I think I don't need to talk about the Amazon success overall. Now, let me give you a last example of our own at Mirakl. I'm going to talk about financial services. So yes, we do marketplace, we are helping e-commerce players, but there was one opportunity for us to help our customers. When you launch marketplace, you recruit sellers that could be international sellers. And the most difficult part is at some point you have to pay those sellers. And it's very difficult when there are foreign sellers. You have currency problem, compliance problem, invoicing problem. So we saw an opportunity. But how can we make it successful and how can we launch quickly a solution? So similarly, for us, Innovation was also meant, and entrepreneurship was also meant by design into how we organize our teams. All the squads, all the product units were reorganized in a way that we made sure they had as much autonomy, as much independence to each other. So the idea is that every squad, every product unit can move on their own pace. They could even choose how they work with each other, whether it's Scrum, Kanban, Scrumban, you name it, as long as they have this frame that we had at Mirakl that was possible. And so our organization was rethink and rethought to make sure that we achieve these objectives. Limit dependencies between teams. But beyond the organization, we had one product development principles that was every new product we build needs to be a standalone product. Meaning, tomorrow, if I want to build this financial service to any marketplace that are not using Mirakl, it's okay, we'll do that. So it has to be agnostic of platform, and we do that with all of our products. But, of course, when users are coming into Mirakl ecosystem, we want to make sure that they feel like they are in Mirakl. So this is where our design system helped us a lot to build a consistent user experience, making sure that as you navigate through the different products, whether you have 1, 2, or 5 products, you're always in Mirakl ecosystem. And obviously, there is a little bit of SSO and authentication happening in the between. But what we did here is we pushed even further those logic with Mirakl Payout. Not only did they have very autonomous way of working, they were allowed to break rules into how they were building the product. They were allowed to take shortcuts. They even were allowed to have their own office and offices. So they were really a startup in a scale-up. And so for us, really, this last myth that I wanted to debunk is not about being a startup. It's really about fostering the mindset that makes your team working as if they were in a startup, very entrepreneurial mindset. And so I hope that throughout this conversation with you today, and hopefully maybe later when we meet at the speaker room, you understood some of our secret sauce here. Some of it, it's about clarifying roles, documenting the way you work. We have our own playbook. Why don't you have your own playbook? Do your way and document your way of doing product. It's about making sure that you have, principles in place so that everyone knows how to guide themselves, but give enough freedom for them to break those rules. For us, it really means also have the systems and the tools to collect the feedback, whether, using, I think, the product board, the Pendo, to collect massively feedback from customers, or leveraging your product ambassador program to get those first-hand feedback is very important. So for us, those are the different keys that really help us for the past 18 months to deliver our 5 new products. And so as you go back to your desk or your team, and if you're thinking about what is my innovation culture, what is the innovation culture in my company, think about how you want to instill customer obsession. What tool do you want to use to make sure your teams are customer-friendly, focused, whatever you want to put behind that? How do you make sure that you maintain this startup mindset, this entrepreneurial mindset? How do you make sure you have mechanism in place to always challenge yourself? Avoid complacency, making sure that you don't just agree with the status quo. Of course, how do you make sure that you have all the tools and mechanism in place to work really well as a product and technology team, but also with your sales team, your customer success, your product marketing? How do you make this happen? You had a lot of examples today. Maybe you will take some of them, maybe none of them are working. But what is important is to think about those different ingredients and come up with your own solution. And last but not least, it's about entrepreneurship, how every employee in this company can become an entrepreneur, an innovator, someone that will contribute to create value for you and your customers. So if I had to conclude, maybe some of you might be asking me, okay, Isabelle, now that you launched 5 products and such a successful blah, 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 what is next, right? Well, if I think about what is next, I would say to you guys, oh crap, this is really getting real. So I hope you learned something today, and thank you for your attention.